everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Fiddle. I am an artist, a crafter, and a miniaturist that likes to teach others that they can be creative too. Link to scavenger hunt, patterns, and materials is listed in the description box below. And please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. It really helps me out a lot with YouTube's algorithm. Okay, are you ready? Let's go. Today's video is more of an update on a few things for the house. For starters, I forewent the birdcage because I got the innards figured out and made and then accidentally deleted all of the footage. You know how when you're moving files around on your computer and you highlight a whole bunch of them, but if you just slightly slide the mouse while pushing the button, it automatically doubles everything? Yeah, that happened to me, and unfortunately, the folder that had all the footage for the birdcage was also highlighted, so it all got deleted, and because the files were so big, my computer just completely tossed them without the option of retrieving them from the recycle bin. I did cry for a minute, and then I realized that all hope is not lost. I'm just gonna set it aside and come back to it when I'm not mad at it. But I went ahead and moved on to the next room, which is the sitting room. After laying down paper in the room to fit the floor and then cutting it, this is the design I came up with. However, the piano is going to have to go because in the end I made the fireplace a little too big and it doesn't fit appropriately in the space that I left for it. So maybe a future project for another room. And I've already started the drawing process of designing how the furniture is going to look. But for the meantime, I picked this maroon burgundy color and this patterned green color for the walls of the room, and then I came up with this design for the floor. Scratch that, I'm horrible at flooring. Instead, I went ahead and just made a popsicle stick flooring and left it at that. Next was sanding and painting. I chose to go with a maroon burgundy, whatever you want to call it, color for the flooring, so I really did try to match with the paper as best as I could. Any video or photos that I have taken of that red paper, the color just does not show up right at all. Thankfully, it's easier to match in person, but what I did is I went through and picked out a few planks every now and then to use a lighter tone on and then a darker tone, and then I went over it with a mid-range, and this gave it a little bit of the effect of different flooring. Then I moved on to the fireplace. I wanted to keep it simple and carry over the red brick from the kitchen flooring into this room so it kind of has a cohesive nature about it, other than red being the main color throughout. So I did a simple drawing of about what I wanted and went from there. For the main structure of the fireplace, I decided to use one of my old shoe boxes. It's about the right size, and I thought it would make the process a lot easier. However, I found out towards the end of it, probably not the best way to go. I would suggest using wood all the way around. My main goal was to use the box as the structure and just glue the wood to it, which worked up to a point. I cut out the pieces and laid them inside my box to make sure I had my lines where they're supposed to be, so that way I'm not too far on one side compared to the other. And the reason why this cardboard didn't work is because do you see on the bottom corners, down where my hands are, were the corner kind of flares out at the bottom. Next, I cut and painted the mantle and base for the fireplace. I will suggest that before you actually paint, if you want a different texture other than wood, a good idea is to lay down a layer of glue, and that'll take away the wood grain, and the thicker the glue is, the more it takes away. I wouldn't suggest adding water though, because that will make your wood warp more. Next, I dug out my red bricks that I had saved from doing the kitchen floor and cut them down a bit smaller so they would look more appropriate on the fireplace, and went to gluing. Once I had my brick where I wanted them, I mixed up some drywall mud, plaster of Paris, or whatever you want to call it, and mixed it with Elmer's glue so that way it made it a little less brittle and filled in my gaps just like you would on a floor or wall or wherever you'd be using it. Make sure to get in all the nooks and crannies and around the edges really good. Then, once it's dried a little bit, you can take a damp sponge and wipe off the excess. And it works better going against the grain than it does with the grain. If I were to go the other direction, I'd be wiping away what is already in between my bricks. And we really want that to stay. We just want to get rid of what's over top of them. I don't have footage of it, but next I went ahead and put wood all the way around the rest of the cardboard except for the top and bottom and glued it all together. I used paper clamps until it was dry, but I had this horrible gap for both the top portion and the bottom, so I just made a quick trim to wrap around it and cover that up. And while I'm finishing that up, I have another announcement. We are just a few weeks away from opening our online store. So far, I have pies, roasts, a few pieces that I made a long time ago, and I will have a place for customs as well. To finish the fireplace off, I took another piece of the shoebox and cut it to fit the back and started with a gray base. Then I took my chalk pastels, black and white, and mixed them together to give me an ashy look. And with that, the fireplace was done. And I would like to give a shout out to one of my biggest fans. Thank you, Ginger. I wouldn't be as far as I am without your support. Thank you. Please don't forget to check out the links in the description box, and if you haven't done it already, please consider subscribing, and we'll see you next time.